Hey guys, so today we're going to be talking about OP09 because someone left me a comment yesterday because I didn't talk about OP09. Bro, I got you in this video. And honestly, OP09 is an amazing set, and it does kind of baffle me that it hasn't increased as fast as I thought it would. And that's kind of ridiculous to say as well because if you look over the past 3 months or so, this has gone from about $120 up to around $180. And you can see over the past couple days, we've actually seen a lot of sales pushing into the 180 range. I'd say probably 90% of sales over the past couple days have been above $180. Whereas there are a couple weeks there you can see already going back to about the 20th, basically from about, the April 1st to the 20th, a lot of sales in that 175-ish range, 173 range. So it seems like we've kind of chewed through that inventory at this point, and we're now moving into the 185, 190 range, which I think is a good thing. And I think this was just bound to happen. I know a lot of people are probably holding out, expecting reprints, but honestly, the set's only been out for like 4 months, so who knows how long it's going to take to get a reprint. If you look at a set like OP05, I mean, this got a reprint as well and dropped the price down in half. I don't know what Bandai is going to be doing with their next print run. If that'll happen with OP09, maybe they do something even larger, smaller, who knows. It really depends on where the demand is in the hobby. But if you don't have any OP09, I still think it's a decent buy around this 180-ish range, because if we don't get a reprint anytime soon, this box is going to move into that like 220, 230 range. Probably within the next few months, honestly, once we chew through that supply. And tomorrow, we will look at the secondary market, eBay, and just try and figure out how many boxes are selling per week and then how many are left before we see a 20% leg up into that 120, 130-ish range. And for you guys that don't know the cards in the set, you have the Gold Roger up top, you have the Manga Luffy, Teach, Shanks, and Buggy. So you have 5 manga cards in this set. You also have Nami and Boa Hancock, so some waifu cards. You have some decent wanted posters as well, Shanks, Teach, Luffy also. So very deep set, especially up top in that, first 8 to 10 cards. And compared to OP05 and PRBO1, it has, I believe, the highest top 10 value out of these. I think PRBO1 eventually takes both of those sets over and is deeper in the top like 20 and 30 cards. But for those top 10 cards, it is the most expensive set in terms of value for them. And one thing that I think is affecting how slowly this is going up is people are just wanting the new flashy thing. So a lot of people, myself included, are focused on getting OP11 pre-orders. We have those Luffy reprints coming from OP05, which we've talked about multiple times on the channel. We have EBO2 coming in. Honestly, EBO2, in my opinion, is selling out faster than OP11. Like, I see stores in Canada, their EBO2 goes before their OP11, or they just maybe have more boxes of OP11 pre-ordered and available. But whatever the reason is, I think it's important to understand human psychology and realize that people aren't buying OP09 as much anymore. And I'm saying that it still has insane sales data. Like, every day, there's tons and tons of boxes selling. I don't think people are buying this at the rate they should be, though. Probably because a lot more people are trying to focus on OP11 and EBO2. Like, you always just want the newest, shiniest thing. And I think even when both of these sets come out, people are going to realize that OP09 is better than both of them. And OP11 is probably going to be a bit closer with those Luffys up top. You also have the Gear 2 Luffy, this other Luffy as well. But I think just having that Gold Roger card, which is just such a spectacle in One Piece right now, another 4 manga cards, some decent waifu cards as well in the posters. Like, I think it's just going to put it over the top of OP11. I think it already puts it over the top of OP5 and even PRBO1, just because there's so many reprinted cards in that set. So unless you're like a huge fan of the Gold Dawns, I don't think long term it's the set that people would prefer to open if given a choice. Now, just to give you guys a sneak peek for tomorrow, a lot of these boxes are actually drying up in Canada. So if you look, and disclaimer, I haven't purchased from these first 2 stores, so I don't know if they're even legit or good. I imagine they probably are, but again, do your own research. This one store here has 8 boxes in stock at 200 Canadian. That's the lowest I've found. I can't find anything in the 180s, 190s anymore, and over the past couple weeks, you could find boxes like that. Maybe on Facebook you can. This other store here dropped their boxes down. They have 8 left as well at 200 Canadian. So after you pay your 5% tax or 12%, whatever, it's going to be 210, 220 depending. HPW Games has some boxes in stock. Now, I have purchased from HPW Games, and not sponsored at all, but I was very impressed with their shipping. I bought a case of OPO9 from them. They put styrofoam around like the outsides as it was double boxed. They just did a super good job, and they are still running a 5% off sale. I think if you buy like 3 or more boxes. So right now, if you did buy more than 3, it would be about the same price as these two after tax. But outside of that, like a lot of the big stores are still all out of everything. Hobbiesville, they have OP10 here, Royal Blood, let's see. 491 boxes still left in stock. Guys, don't invest in OP10 right now. You're literally going to be sitting on those for probably years at this point, honestly. It could go a lot faster if demand spikes out of nowhere, but I think that's going to be dead money for a while. OP12, I mean, pre-orders of OP12, they have 66 boxes still. There are lots of stores, though, that still have OP12 pre-orders up. It seems like OP12, there's more of those pre-orders than OP13 at this point. A lot of OP13 pre-orders from stores like Hobbiesville, 401 Games have actually closed at this point. And speaking of 401 Games, their OPO9 is up to 240 Canadian, and you have to pay 12% tax. So you actually pay a lot ordering from 401 Games. But another thing I wanted to point out on 401 Games, if you guys remember like a week ago when we talked about Romance Dawn, I said I was buying a box at 500 Canadian. I said I was going to buy it on 401 Games. I didn't because I found one cheaper from Mintink, but they did move their boxes up to $550 Canadian, and I think they actually have way less on their website now. So instead of showing like 250 or whatever ridiculous number it was, I think there's only like a few listed on their website right now, but they have moved it up, and there's still like a couple boxes you can find around that 500 range, but most stores now, again, have moved up to this 550 Canadian price. And again, I'm sorry for you guys having to deal partly in USD in this video and then partly in Canadian, but whenever I go to these sites, it automatically defaults to Canadian dollars. So either way, point being, Romance Dawn is moving up in North America, and stores that had a lot of those boxes are slowly moving their prices up. And we're going to see the same thing happen with OPO9 here fairly shortly. I mean, a couple stores, again, under 200, but most stores, HPW is still a fairly generous price, I guess you could say. Like, this is a decent deal. A lot of stores are moving into that 230, 240 Canadian range, which probably is fairly close to like 180 USD. And again, I'm not saying put all your dollars in OPO9 right now, because I do think in the future it will get a reprint, but get some exposure because it could run up insane to like $250, $300 before we get a reprint. You never know, especially this year with Bandai having to play catch up with the English sets to prepare for the simultaneous releases in 2026 with Japanese. We really could see a situation where one of these sets gets left behind. It's the same thing that's going on with Pokemon right now, where you see Paradox Rift, Temporal Forces, Twilight Masquerade, Paldean Fates, like all of these mid-era Scarlet and Violet sets that came out early last year through the middle of last year. A lot of those sets, or at least a couple of them, are probably going to get left behind because Pokemon now has to play catch up on Surging Sparks. They have to increase their print runs of Prismatic Evolutions, which if they want to do ETB that's going to slow it down even more as well. And then also Destined Rivals this year is going to be insane. So it is possible for sets to get left behind. And I don't know what Bandai's situation is like when it comes to the print runs and how much more they can make. Obviously, producing booster boxes for most manufacturers is easier than something like an ETB or a tin. We saw those mini tins released too for One Piece. I'm not a huge fan of those either, guys. I was thinking about doing a video on that. I had someone DM and ask me too what I thought of those, but I'm not a huge fan at all of them. I think it's kind of just like it's kind of a gimmicky product. I mean, if you enjoy opening that sort of thing, that's great. You want to collect the tins for the artwork, that's awesome. But in terms of investment, no, they're not something I would be touching ever. But definitely, booster boxes, that's the way to go, at least in my opinion. With all that said, you guys let me know in the comments down below what you think. If you have any OP09 yet, if you have booster boxes, cases, I'm always curious. Also, for you guys that aren't from North America, EU watchers, even if you guys are from Australia, I would like to know a couple things. First of all, if you're from Europe, what stores do you buy from? Because I've actually been looking at Europe for EBO2 and PRBO2 and all of these other sets, and it actually is going to be cheaper for me to import stuff from Italy. I found a store there, even after I paid 12% tax and basically a brokerage fee from one of these companies, it's still going to be cheaper than buying EBO2 sets right now in Canada. I managed to get a couple boxes cheaper, which I was grateful for, but just trying to get more is impossible right now. So I'm curious where you guys buy from in Europe that's cheap. And you guys in Australia, and I've asked a couple people about this already, do you get 4 Asia boxes in Australia, or do you just get the basic release of the English ones that don't have that? I'm curious about those two things for you guys that are international watchers. Again, I appreciate all of you guys watching, whether you came from the Pokemon channel, whether you found this channel organically. I'm trying to provide as much value as possible. So if you have any recommendations for videos as well, definitely feel free to leave a comment down below, and I'll do my best to try and help you out with your questions and curiosities. So thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe wherever you are in the world, and I'll catch you in the next one.